Studying in Germany is no longer cheap. In fact, it's getting more expensive every year. Back in 2019, the blocked account requirement was 10,200 euros per year. 2 years later, it went up to 10,332 euros. By 2023, it had made a big jump to 11,208 euros, and last year, it climbed again to 11,904 euros. And here's the interesting part. Even as the costs have gone up, the number of students going to Germany from India have almost doubled in the same time period. Why, you ask? Well, no tuition fees. But even without the tuition fees, once you add the amount for blocked account, university applications, language exams, visa costs and flights, the total cost can cross 16 lakhs just for a master's student. And not everyone has that kind of money sitting in the bank. That's where education loans become the best option for students who are struggling with finances. And in this video, we're going to cover everything about education loans for Germany. What kind of loans there are, who should you get the loan from, what is the total amount, and everything else. There are only two types of loans, secured and unsecured loans, and for both of these, you need a co-applicant, which can be your father, mother, or your legal guardian. First, secured loans are the ones where you provide a guarantee to the bank. This guarantee is called as a collateral, and it can be property papers, fixed deposits, insurance policies, etc. And because of this, the loan has lower interest rates and higher amounts. Second, you have unsecured loans where you don't provide any collateral to the bank, and because of this, the loan amount is lower and the interest rate is quite high. Your co-applicant's credit score, income, and other financial details decide the loan amount and the interest rate in unsecured loans. Of course, if you take a step back, then secured loans are better than unsecured loans, but if you don't have any collateral, you have to go for the unsecured option. Now, who will give you these loans? There are three types of institutions who will provide you education loans, and each has its own advantages and disadvantages. First, government banks like SBI, Bank of Baroda, PNB are a very good option if you are applying with a collateral. They have low interest rates starting around 8.5 to 9.5% per year, and depending on your application, the repayment period is also longer. The only problem with government banks is that they are very slow and you have to visit the bank multiple times to start your process and nudge it forward. Additionally, there are subsidies and concessions depending on your application, so when you visit the bank, make sure you ask about this as well. Even a 0.5% reduction in the interest rate is a big thing. Second is private banks like HDFC, ICICI, Axis Bank, which are very popular, and their loan process is of course faster. The interest rates are high, typically between 9.5 and 11.5%, but they are open to both secured and unsecured options. They look very closely at your co-applicant's income and credit score, so approvals and interest rates really depend on your family's financial background. Third, NBFCs like Credila, Avance and Incred are very popular because the processing is quick, the documentation is less, and the repayment period are also shorter. However, the interest rates are quite higher as compared to government banks or private banks, so while they are convenient, your education loan might become very expensive if your repayment period is quite long. So, who should you choose? If you have tuition fees for your course and you're financing everything from a loan, then go to a bank. Visit multiple banks, and specifically the ones where your co-applicant or you have a bank account. But if your loan amount is shorter, let's say only for the blocked account, then NBFCs are also not a bad option because the tenure is shorter and you can repay it quite fast. Again, none of this is financial advice, so it's better to visit the bank yourself and see what they are offering you in terms of an education loan. Whatever amount you take or whoever you choose as your lender, you have to pay for your blocked account. And just like you're carefully choosing a lender for your education loan, it's also important to choose a blocked account provider which is fast, secure, and trustworthy. Expatrio ticks all these boxes, and they are a really good option if you're looking to open your blocked account. If you take Expatrio's value package, firstly, you get a German blocked account accepted by all German authorities. You also get a 90 euros cashback with TK Flex health insurance. You get free incoming travel insurance worth up to 95 euros, which is mandatory for your visa. You also get a free bank account and a digital debit card for all your needs in Germany. And you also get a free digital Isaac card worth up to 18 euros, which provides a lot of offers and discounts for students. You can sign up with the first link in the description. When you start Googling or watching videos about education loans, you will quickly realize that bank people use a lot of jargon. It might feel confusing if you are hearing it for the first time, so let me help you with some of them. First is the moratorium period, which is the time during your studies where you don't have to make any EMI payments. Most banks only charge you a simple interest for the period of your course plus a grace period. And second is grace period, which is an additional time, usually 6 to 12 months after finishing your course before you have to start making the EMI payments. Third is the lock-in period, and this is the time where you cannot repay your loan or transfer your loan without incurring penalties. The period is usually moratorium period plus grace period, and not all banks have this, but it's better to ask them beforehand. Fourth is EMI or easy monthly installments, which is the amount you have to pay the bank monthly. And lastly, prepayment, which is the option to repay a part or your entire loan before the official repayment period ends. There are no fees or penalties for this, but it's better to ask the bank beforehand when you go for the inquiry. Additionally, if you don't understand what is simple interest or compound interest, I'll link some videos below which will help you a lot. Now, there are a lot of banks offering lots of interest rates, and I cannot cover them in a single video. That's why I've made a Google sheet which has a list of banks and NBFCs and their interest rates for both secured and unsecured loans. You can check it in the description, and just remember that these interest rates have been taken from the internet, so when you actually go to the bank, you might get a different deal. Also, when you are comparing banks, don't just look at the interest rate. Pay attention to things like processing fee, repayment tenure, moratorium conditions, because these factors can change the total cost of your loan significantly. Now, the exact list of documents can depend on your application, but here's a tentative list you might need. First is the applicant's KYC documents, Aadhaar, PAN, passport, etc. Second is the academic records, including any entrance or language exams you have given. Third is the admission letter from the German university. Fourth is the tuition fee structure, if you have tuition fees, and the blocked account amount needed. And fifth are your co-applicants' KYC documents along with their income proof, salary slips, ITRs, bank statements, etc. If you're choosing secured loans, you also have to provide documents for the property papers, fixed deposits, insurance policies, and all of them. There might be some additional documents that the banks or the NBFCs might need from you, so they will give you a proper list when you start the education loan process. Finally, the amount. You will need around 15 to 17 lakhs if you want to study in a public university, let's say for your masters, and this includes some extra money as well. It will cover your blocked account, semester contribution, flights, and also some buffer which you might need for your living expenses. These small details you have to iron out with the lender itself, but of course the personal expenses are given to you, and any money which has to go to the blocked account provider or the tuition fees, the lender will transfer it themselves. And that's all I had to say for education loans in Germany, and this is no way of financial guide. The best bet is actually to go to the bank and get a perfect idea of what the education loan process will look for you. If you have any doubts related to this or studying in Germany, comment below and we'll help you. And if you want some free resources, you can check them out in the description as well. Bye.